or we're not going to buy cars that are not fuel efficient. When we send that message to them, they listen. And one of the reasons they listen is because they really want to listen. They don't want to destroy this planet. They don't want terrorism out there. And so it's really up to us, and we have tremendous power. I think there's an amazing opportunity here for us all to participate in this revolution and create this amazing new world that will be a world of more social responsibility and environmental responsibility. And so I guess at this point, the real question comes down to, what can you do? What can each of you do? What can I do? What can we all do together? How can we move forward and really make this happen? And today we have an incredible model for that just to our south, Latin America. In the last few years, since the beginning of this millennium, 9 countries in Latin America have voted in the president who ran on an anti-corporatocracy ticket, who said, yeah. Yeah, we all need to honor these presidents. 9 presidents. They represent more than 80% of the population of South America. More than 80%. And every one of them was elected in democratic elections and peacefully. And I believe every one of them was elected by a much larger percentage of his or her population than our presidents are elected by here in this country. It's been a truly democratic revolution and a peaceful one. These presidents are saying, for example, Correa of Ecuador is saying, the profits from Ecuador's oil must go to help Ecuador's poorest people. And Morales of Bolivia is saying, the profits from Bolivia's gas must go to help Bolivia's poorest people, not just the big corporations. They're not telling the corporations they've got to go. They're simply saying, change. Take out that gas, take out that oil, and do it in environmentally and socially responsible ways, and help our people. Every one of these presidents has said, we don't want your foreign aid. We don't need your foreign aid. Just stop writing laws like NAFTA and CAFTA and the other free trade agreements that suck out our resources, that make it easy for your corporations to exploit us. Just stop exploiting us. Let us use our resources to help our people. And every one of these countries, during most of my lifetime, was run by a brutal dictator under the rule of Washington, in every one of these countries. And so this is incredibly significant, what's happened. 2 of these countries, Argentina and Chile, have women presidents. And they're amazing. Yeah. And these are women presidents that really, really honor the deep feminine principles of receptivity and nurturing. You know, they're not women posing as men. They're very, very deeply involved. And they're amazing presidents. And they, too, are great leaders in Chile and Argentina in setting this whole new precedent, because I think we must all understand that if we're to move into this new environmentally sustainable, just and peaceful world, then we all have to adopt a much more of that feminine aspect. We have to move away from the old patriarchal, hierarchical. You know, if we stick with the old means, the old patriarchal methods, we may create some change, but we're going to come back in the end to something very similar. So we must honor that, and that's another thing. Not only these women presidents in Latin America, but most of the men presidents also have very deep feminine aspects that they bring out. Another important thing that's happened in Latin America is that very diverse groups have come together. So historically, in many of these countries, the military and the indigenous people have been at war, essentially, since the time of the conquest. But now, for these elections, they came together to vote in the president that was best for their country. And I think this model is a great inspiration to all of us. It's an inspiration to Africa, to the Middle East. If these people can come together, then there's no reason why Sunnis and Shiites and Israelis can't also come together to do something better for their region of the world. There's no reason why the diverse groups in this country can't come together. It's a tremendous model. And what is your role in that model? You as an individual, all of us together here. There's so many things that we can do. You have so much power. And in Secret History of the American Empire, there's a long list of things we all can do. You know, don't buy clothes that are made in sweatshops. And let that company know why you're not buying their clothes. And let the company who you do buy clothes from know why you're buying from them, because they're not using sweatshops. You know, and don't drink water that's brought in from Fiji or the Alps. Get your local water company to do a better job. Thank you. Don't buy gas-guzzling cars, and let the gas-guzzling car companies know why you're not buying their cars. And let the other company know why you are buying their cars. And if we continue to do that, things will change. I guarantee it. If nobody buys sweatshop-made products, there won't be any more sweatshop-made products. And don't look at this as a sacrifice. If you pay a little bit more, look at it as an investment. My daughter, who's 25, just gave me a grandson. Oh, she turned 26 today. Today's Jessica's birthday. and she just gave me an 8-month-old grandson, and she did a lot of research on everything she buys for that child. And before he was born, she called me and she said, "Dad, I found a crib that's made in China. I'm pretty sure it's a sweatshop crib. And I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's $200. There's another one made from Chilean certified plantation woods, made in Canada, no sweatshops. It's $600. And she works for a nonprofit. She doesn't make much money. Money's very important to her. She said, there's no question. I'm going to pay the extra $400 because it's an investment in my child's future. It's not a sacrifice. It's an investment in our future. And sometimes some of you may not be able to afford that investment. You may have to go for the cheaper product that you know is not made socially and environmentally correctly. You just might have to. Better still would be to forego buying it. I mean, the option of not shopping is a very, very good one. You know, let's sell each other more books. That's good. Songs, dance, yoga, these kinds of things. We don't need to keep tearing apart the earth to make our economy grow. And so, you know, if you have to make that purchase that you know isn't quite right, recognize at least that you're foregoing an investment opportunity in the future. And promise yourself that when you can make that investment, you will. That's an important aspect here. The other side of all this, I think, is that we are in the process, we need to turn this economy around so that we have an economy that's based on life rather than death, rather than war. There's so many... Thank you. And I think we have a tremendous opportunity here. There's so many parts of this planet that are terribly polluted. I just came back from Nicaragua, where we're trying to help organic farmers grow, small farmers grow organic produce. But so much of the land of Nicaragua has been destroyed by the big agribusinesses, Dole and Chiquita and United Brands. But there's equipment for cleaning that up. And if we would just take some of our tax dollars that go to the military today and instead pay the same companies, pay General Dynamics, pay General Motors, instead of producing tanks and missiles, let them produce equipment that can clean up all the polluted lands of the world and the polluted waters and the polluted air. Let them build equipment that can help the starving people of the world learn to feed themselves and provide mechanisms for doing that. We can create a whole economy. We don't need to sacrifice. We can create a whole economy based on life rather than death. And there's no reason that we shouldn't do that. So this comes back to you. What do you do? How do you do this? And as I mentioned, the list in Secret History of the American Empire of things that we all should be doing and can do and need to do is important, that we do those things, that we not buy the sweatshop products, that we do things that are more energy efficient, and that we shop a lot less, frankly. But beyond that, I think one of the most important things is for each one of us, for you, to recognize that you have passion. And you have talents. And use your passion and your talents to move toward that road of creating, toward that destination of creating a sustainable, just, and peaceful world. My passion is writing. I hope I have some talent in it. But whatever yours is, follow it, because we're not effective unless we follow our passions. So move into your passions. And we can all take different roads, different paths, but as long as they're all headed toward that destination of a sustainable, just, and peaceful world, we will get there. I'd like to close with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. And it's always a little bit frightening to stand before an audience with a microphone in your hand and try to imitate Martin Luther King Jr., who came out of that front of the bus ride by Rosa Parks. So I won't try to imitate him. I'll just read it. And King said, "I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I refuse to believe that. Rather, I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word. Unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word." So here we are, sitting here today, about to walk out into this beautiful Chicago sunshine. And I hope as you leave this room that each one of you will make a solid commitment, deep in your heart, deep in your soul, to move forward and bring about this unarmed truth and unconditional love, to speak the unarmed truth and to show the unconditional love, and to move into constantly insisting that you and everyone around you, the corporations you shop at, the things you buy, are all headed toward creating a sustainable, just, and peaceful world. My grandson cannot possibly hope to inherit a world that any one of us would want to live in unless every child on this planet, every child born in Africa, Asia, Latin America, the Middle East, the United States, North America, has that same expectation. For the first time in history, we live on a very, very tiny planet where one community, our children, can't hope to live a good life unless every child has that same hope and all those hopes are realized. I'm 63 years old. My grandson is 8 months. I often think about and dream about what kind of a world is he going to inherit. And I know that he's going to inherit a very beautiful world, even more beautiful than the one we have today. One where we don't have starvation, one where we don't have this terrorism, one where we don't have the desperation that causes terrorism, one where we don't have the ruthless destruction of the environment and cultures. Because you and I are going to leave this room today, and as individuals and as a group, we're going to commit ourselves to dreaming a new dream, and giving energy to the dream, and that is the dream of creating an environmentally sustainable, socially just, and peaceful world. And I look forward to doing this with all of you. Thank you. Thank you.